Welcome back to our explainer diving into evolutionary human physiology and cellular metabolism. I'm Dr. Aris.
And I'm Dr. Vance. As academic biologists, we are constantly studying the human body's complex survival mechanisms. But honestly, perhaps none are as silently impactful as how our bodies actually fuel themselves during a prolonged fasting state.
Exactly. So today, we're jumping right into a strictly scientific, objective examination of overnight skeletal muscle auto-cannibalization. We're going to look specifically at how the body metabolizes its own lower extremity tissue for fuel and the precise biological triggers that command your body to literally stop this breakdown and initiate an anabolic recovery phase.
And just a quick disclaimer before we get into the weeds here, this is a purely informational lesson on fasting metabolism and skeletal muscle preservation. It's not medical advice. All right, let's get into it.
Host A, mapping out today's agenda, will start off with the mechanics of sarcopenia, move right into the overnight fasting phase, and then analyze the role of amino acids in protein synthesis. From there, we'll cover glycogen and electrolyte restoration, the impact of omega-3s, and finally wrap up by exploring how to actually optimize a morning metabolic routine to trigger muscle repair.
Okay, Section 1, the mechanics of sarcopenia. We need to zoom out first to really understand the macro-level condition affecting the lower extremities as human physiology ages.
So sarcopenia isn't just a byproduct of getting older. It's the specific age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass and function. From a biological standpoint, it's uniquely insidious, mainly because it progresses completely silently. There are no immediate warning signs, no pain, no fever, no obvious alarm bells going off, while it steadily degrades the very muscles responsible for our balance and walking speed.
Yeah, it's essentially an evolutionary mismatch, right? Human longevity nowadays drastically outpaces our natural muscle retention if left completely to its own devices. We literally outlive our own structural integrity.
And the severity of this issue is frankly startling. Data straight from the National Institute on Aging reveals that adults over 60 can lose up to 13% of their leg muscle mass in just a single decade if no biological interventions occur.
That is a massive, massive reduction in structural tissue. Just think about it. When leg muscles shrink by that kind of volume, your metabolic efficiency absolutely plummets, walking speed drops, and the overall stability of the lower body is severely, severely compromised.
Which brings us to Section 2. Overnight fasting and auto-cannibalization. Let's zoom into the cellular level to examine the actual metabolic impact of a 7 to 9 hour sleep cycle on your tissue. Looking at the exact biological sequence of our internal clock, we can clearly see these distinct phases. For those first 4 hours of sleep, you're digesting and absorbing nutrients. Easy enough. Then, between hours 5 and 8, the true fasting state is initiated.
Right, but it's past that 8-hour mark where the physiology changes so dramatically. Lacking incoming nutrients, the body enters a state where it actually begins metabolizing its own skeletal muscle tissue just to sustain vital organ function.
We call this phase the catabolic state. In evolutionary biology, this is actually a highly elegant survival mechanism. The body desperately needs amino acids and energy, so it breaks down complex tissues to get them. But you might be wondering, why target the legs specifically? Well, it's because the lower extremities contain the absolute largest muscle groups in the human body. They are essentially these massive reservoirs of stored energy, which makes them the absolute primary target for auto-cannibalization during this morning catabolic phase. So, every single morning, our physiology hits a fork in the road. Prolonging that fast keeps the body stuck in the catabolic state. That means extending muscle breakdown, energy depletion, and significantly reducing lower extremity circulation. However, and here's the biological game changer, introducing precise nutrient timing instantly shifts that metabolic engine right over to the anabolic state. This completely reverses the process. It triggers muscle protein synthesis, nutrient delivery, and immediate tissue repair. Moving on to Section 3, amino acids and protein synthesis. So how exactly do we flip that switch? Let's look at the specific amino acid profiles required to arrest this auto-cannibalization. Specific whole foods carry distinct biological triggers. Take compounds like leucine, for example, which is found abundantly in the yolk of whole eggs. It acts as a direct biological key that literally unlocks muscle protein synthesis. And simultaneously, the vitamin B12 is protecting the nerve coating, which really enhances the communication between your brain and those lower extremity muscles.
Exactly. And then you have Greek yogurt, which contains slow-digesting casein protein. Introducing casein provides this beautifully sustained, steady stream of amino acids, precisely when the body is trying to break down its own tissue. It effectively halts the catabolic process right in its tracks.
What's truly remarkable here is the regenerative potential of these specific amino acids. According to research out of Tufts University, seniors actually have the potential to recover up to 35% of their leg strength in just 8 weeks when these targeted amino acids are introduced early in the day.
35%? I mean, as biologists, that number is just staggering. It completely challenges the long-held notion that age-related muscle decay is this strictly irreversible one-way street. It's really not.
All right, section 4, glycogen and electrolyte restoration. Amino acids are vital, sure, but they're really just one piece of the puzzle. We also have to address the role of complex carbohydrates and minerals in cellular signaling. The biological mechanics mapped out here are incredibly precise. After an overnight fast, muscle glycogen is basically depleted. Complex carbohydrates from sources like sweet potatoes replenish those glycogen stores perfectly, and they do it without aggressively spiking your blood sugar. And then there's the whole electrical component. Bananas deliver roughly 400 milligrams of potassium, which is absolutely critical to maintaining the electrical balance across your muscle cell membranes. Right, and pairing that with oats and chia seeds provides beta-glucans to stabilize blood sugar, while the magnesium directly signals those tight muscle fibers to relax. Now, if you've ever been woken up in the middle of the night by intense leg cramps, this electrical misfire is exactly what's happening. Without these critical electrolytes acting as cellular messengers, the physiological outcome is severe.
It really is. The lack of potassium and magnesium directly leads to electrical misfires in the cell membranes, triggering those painful spasms. Furthermore, depleted minerals lead to impaired circulation. That means your lower extremities are starved of optimal oxygen delivery, which severely disrupts your nerve signaling.
Section 5, omega-3s and cellular inflammation. Next, we absolutely must examine the impact of fatty acids on age-related muscular inflammation and structural resilience. There is a hidden variable in skeletal muscle preservation, and that is chronic cellular inflammation. Clinical data clearly indicates that introducing EPA and DHA, these are omega-3 fatty acids commonly found in fatty fish like salmon, acts as a really powerful biological intervention. You can think of it like this. These fatty acids essentially lubricate the muscular system at a cellular level. By reducing inflammation, they dramatically enhance the muscle tissue's ability to uptake protein and actually repair itself. And the quantifiable impact here is staggering. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition noted that older adults who consumed these specific fatty acids twice weekly retained 27% more leg muscle mass compared to those who didn't.
Yeah, and they also demonstrated improved walking ability and better balance. It's a profound demonstration of how targeted lipid structures preserve skeletal mass over the long term.
Okay, section 6, optimizing morning metabolic routines. Finally, let's look at the objective biological protocols that synchronize with these nutritional triggers to effectively halt catabolism. This specific sequence aligns perfectly with our evolutionary biology. Step 1, hydrating with trace minerals immediately restores that electrolyte gradient you lost overnight. Step 2, doing some gentle rotations of the ankles and wrists reactivates peripheral blood flow before you start bearing heavy weight. Step 3, getting just 5 minutes of sunlight triggers vitamin D synthesis, which is absolutely crucial for bone and muscle coordination. And step 4, consuming a leucine and nutrient-dense profile within 1 hour of waking. Following this exact sequence effectively commands the human body to cease its catabolic auto-cannibalization and immediately initiate the anabolic recovery phase.
So it leaves us with a really compelling and frankly vital question to ponder. Are your current morning routines unknowingly extending the catabolic breakdown of your own structural tissue? Understanding the cellular reality of fasting metabolism allows us to intervene objectively. By aligning our morning intake with our actual biological needs, we get to dictate whether our bodies spend the morning breaking down or building back up. Thank you so much for joining us in this explainer on human cellular metabolism. Keep questioning, keep learning, and as always, respect the incredible machinery of human physiology. We'll catch you next time.